Welcome to The Guide at Fish North Georgia. Brought to you by these fine sponsors. Spro, working with America's best anglers to design the world's finest fishing tackle. Nichols Lures, handcrafted to perfection. Georgia Blade, makers of premium fishing lures for over 3 decades and home to the Georgia Jig. Crypto Bass, tournament grade, Georgia made. And be sure to visit fishnorthgeorgia.com. Now here's Jim Farmer.
Hey gang, Jim Farmer here, and welcome to another edition of The Guide. It's August the 7th, it's Friday, and I'm not going out today. My trolling motor seized up yesterday, so I got to get that fixed, and that might take a few days. But I wanted to take just a few minutes and talk to you about what I've been doing to catch fish out on the lake here for about the past 2 to 3 weeks, something like that, and go over just kind of a quick scenario about what I've been doing. Spending a lot of time out on the main lake on points and humps, and basically for the past few weeks I've had 4 rods on the deck, and I just want to go over those real quick and maybe share a couple videos that I made during the course of the last week. Share a few of those videos with y'all, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. But first, let's just go over a little scenario where let's say I go out on the main lake and I'm targeting a point, main lake point. Here lately I've been fishing a lot of main lake points, and as soon as I come up on the point, if the wind is blowing, the first thing I'm thinking about is throwing a top water. So if there's some wind and there's some chop out on the point, the first thing I'm going to right now is this little translucent 3.5 inch walking bait right there. I painted this one up, and this pattern is a pattern that I've used for a few years, but it's just a little walking bait. It's got rattles in it, makes a lot of noise, and I've put a dress hook on the back, and that's kind of it's kind of an extra attractant. But anyway, this is one that I've been using, either calling fish up sometimes or sight fishing. When a fish comes up, I'm throwing to it. I've got this ready and I'm making that throw. So this is on a spinning reel. I'm using 8-pound fluorocarbon, and I'm going to show you a little video I made this week where I kind of featured this little walking bait. That was out there yesterday on a windy point, but here's a video where I kind of talk about the bait a little bit more and catch a nice fish on it. So that's bait number 1 that I'm using, the Topwater walking bait. Guys, a lot of times Topwater's about timing. I'm sitting on this point, throwing spy bait. All of a sudden a big bass comes up within casting range, chasing a blueback on the surface. I was able to grab my Topwater walking bait real quick and throw it right in there. I made a perfect cast. He just turned on that walking bait and slammed it. We're gonna see what we got here. I think I got a pretty good one. On that clear walking bait, little translucent walking bait. Been catching some nice ones on the points here. Another good one. So the second one that I'm using, let's say tonight I catch 1 or 2 on the Topwater bait, and I'm going to concentrate on something a little bit different now. I'm going to start throwing this Swimbait right here. This Swimbait is one that I've been using to catch a few nice fish. Especially in the areas where I'm not catching the topwater, or maybe I've caught a topwater fish and they're just nervous and not coming up anymore, I'm going to start throwing this swim bait around. And this swim bait's real simple. It's solid core. It's got good action to it. It's a pearl bone color that I painted, and I'm using that out on the main lake, mainly in windy conditions where there's a lot of wind on points or humps or something like that. This thing runs about 1 foot to 2 foot underneath the surface, and it's just been a great little bait this summer for me as far as just throwing it around the windy humps and windy points out on the main lake. And I made a little video catching a fish probably about 2 weeks ago with this bait right here, and I included that. So you can see this bait in action hooking a nice fish a couple weeks ago, and that's my little swim bait too. So that's number 2. Now, guys, I'm out on a main lake point. I didn't even have my camera turned on. I just turned it on, but I was throwing this new swim bait. I caught a few fish on it last week. Pretty nice fish, but nothing like this. There you go, check that guy out. There you go, that's the biggest one to date on that swim bait, but it works pretty good. So that's number 2. Now the third one for about the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been throwing this Swimbait. Justin Butler gave me a tip on using these 72 alphas. I kind of like slowed down on the Swimbait. The Swimbait wasn't working that well for me, so I slowed up on it. But Justin had told me that he'd been getting some nice ones on the 72 alpha. So I had some 72 alphas that Duo Realis sent me this past spring. And so I tied one of these on. This is kind of a ghost pearl pattern. And we've been using that one for a few weeks and really catching some nice fish. Thing about this thing is you can catch this thing a mile. It weighs more than, say, a G-Fix 80 or even a 90. You can bomb this thing. I've got an 8-pound fluoro on here, a medium heavy rod, spinning reel. Just bomb this thing just as far as you can and start to crank in a steady crank. You can count it down maybe 5-10 seconds. This past week I've been using it 10-second drop on it and getting it down a little bit and just a steady retrieve. I've got a video that you can watch and kind of see this thing in action too, catching a nice fish on this, but pretty good little spot bait. Took a little while. I think I got another pretty good one hooked here. I'll get the camera to slow down. Seems like he's got some big head shakes. I haven't caught a lot on this 72 alpha Swimbait today. It's just dead calm out here. Every once in a while I'll get one. There you go, another one right there. This guy ain't no slouch. There you go, there's a good one right there on that 72 alpha Swimbait. Ghost Pearl. And last but not least, when I get to the brush piles, I'm going to start with the drop shot. The drop shot that I've been using probably all summer long is this one right here. This is the Blue Lily. This is one of Lanier baits worms. It's called the Blue Lily, and I've been using this one pretty much all summer, and I've been catching the majority of my larger fish on this Blue Lily worm right here. I'm going to give you guys a little tip though. Right now the drop shot bite isn't really on fire. I wouldn't say it's on fire, but you can still catch some. I've been dead sticking a lot of worms, just dropping them down there and just holding them steady without a lot of action. But when I want action on it, what I'm going to do is when I hook my worm up, I'm going to hide the barb, but I'm going to hook the very tip of it. But if you can see right here, there's a little curve right in the top of this worm. I just put a little curve in it. And what that does is when you drop this down and it gets to the bottom, if that little curve is right at the end of the hook there, when you give this thing a good jiggle, what it does is the worm floats up and down and it gives the worm more action. So just work on that. Instead of hooking it straight, where it's straight up and down, kind of vertical, just hanging vertical like that, try putting a little curve in it. And I think you'll find that what is going to happen is the worm's going to jump up and down, and it's going to give it more action, which is going to give you more bites. But that's the drop shot. I've been using that as the fourth pattern that I've been catching them on. But between those four things, you go out for a morning, something like that, you can probably, between running those four things that I just told you about, I think you can catch a few good fish. So we got the Topwater, we got the Swimbait, we got the Swimbait, and then hit them with the Blue Lily drop shot from Lanier baits. So that's all for this week, and I think that's going to carry on for a few more weeks. So I'll let you know just as soon as the pattern changes, and good luck and stay cool out there. It's pretty warm.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com, where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.